Consensus 2024 is just days away, and this is the 10th consensus that has ever happened. I'm going to be there, and our next two guests are going to be there too. They've also been working very hard at programming this event, and it's going to be spectacular. So we're just going to bring them in. We're going to talk about it. Michael, Casey, Foster Wright, welcome to First Mover.
Hi, Jen.
Michael, I'm going to start with you. This is the 10th consensus. Talk to me about what's going to be different this year. Why is this year special?
Well, I mean, one way to frame this is to look back on what consensus was last year, right? I mean, it was really pretty much in the depths of crypto winter. We were coming out of the FTX scandal. We were in the midst of the throes of all of the unwind. There were bankruptcies and everything else. And there was an enormous amount of tension around policy being very kind of hostile in the US. That latter part really hasn't changed a lot, unfortunately. But the market environment has changed considerably, right? The market, we hit all-time highs for Bitcoin and for other tokens in the first quarter. We've, of course, seen the arrival now spectacularly of TradFi institutions like BlackRock entering in through the final long-awaited approval of Bitcoin ETFs. We've got this buzz around tokenization now as something that everyone now suddenly, even the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, thinks it's going to transform the global financial system. And, you know, you're coming at this time at an intersection between the arrival of AI, this buzz around this massively transformative technology, and the role that Web3 and, you know, related technologies could play in resolving that. So we're in a very different environment we were last year. Crypto summer. Great time to have a 10th consensus. So I'm actually really pretty excited about this one.
The first consensus I ever attended was a virtual one, and it's just been getting better and better since then. So I'm also excited. Michael, Foster, I want to get you in the conversation here. Talk to us about what kind of guests we can expect to hear from at the event.
Hey, Jen. Yeah, great. Yeah, it is hard to believe that consensus is just around the corner. We're days away, our 10th annual. And you know, as Michael said, we're going to have speakers from around the world, leading developers, leading protocols, politicians, regulators, policy officials. It really runs the gamut, and we're set up to have ultimately the best consensus yet.
Okay, Foster, we're expecting 15,000 attendees this year, 200 sponsors, 500 speakers. What can these 15,000 attendees expect?
Yeah, we're going to have amazing experiences this year at Consensus. Super excited to be back in Austin for the third year. We have an amazing CoinDesk Pitch Fest lined up, which is going to be presented by Google Cloud, a live pitch battle featuring over 40 of Web3's most promising early stage startups. We're bringing back the IRL hackathon in partnership with EZA. It's going to be a 3-day multi-chain hackathon with some amazing prizes and amazing protocols participating. On the entertainment side, we're going to have, for the first time ever, Karate Combat, the world's premier full contact striking league, is going to be coming to Consensus on Thursday evening, May 30th. It's going to feature Olympic medalists and national champions from around the world. We're also going to have Web3's very own Nick Carter of Castle Island facing off against David Hoffman from Bankless after they speak that afternoon. We're also going to have the Gen C demo area, which is going to feature hands-on experiences with cutting-edge technology, a really cool blockchain research symposium with top academic researchers from groundbreaking ideas on distributed systems and protocol designs, and many, many other opportunities for people to network and to gather. And I think, as everybody knows, one of the number one reasons people come to Consensus is to network. One of my favorite quotes is that you can get a year's worth of meetings done in 3 days at Consensus, and we want to help facilitate that as much as possible. So there'll be ample networking lounges. We have an amazing app that will allow attendees to connect with each other based on their topics. So it should be great.
Michael, as the chairman of Consensus, I know that you've been working intimately on getting speakers who can provide really thoughtful insight on what's going on in the industry. As you noted, lots has happened from January to now. Lots is yet to happen as we gear up for an election in the United States. Talk to me about some of the speakers we're going to hear from.
Yeah. So, look, we are very excited to have a presidential candidate this year. This is not the first time we've had a presidential candidate. I think Andrew Yang was here at one of our consensus events when he was running. This is RFK Jr., who has just very recently signed on as a speaker. Excited to hear from a guy who some think might actually be the kingmaker, right? I mean, it's there's a real possibility that the swing votes and everything else may well come down to what this man has to say. And he is a crypto-friendly candidate, so clearly a bit of a crowd favorite there. It'll be very interesting to see what he has to say. Further in that sort of policy world, because, just remember the United States and where it's going with policy really, really matters. It's been a hostile environment, as we mentioned, the SEC in particular being part of that. So, we are diving as we do into the sort of unique connections we have with some of the leading movers and shakers from Washington. We have Tom Emmer, for example, who's the majority whip in the House, but we also have Ron Wyden. So he's a Democrat, so we've got a Republican and a Democrat. Ron Wyden is the chair of the Senate Financial Committee and sort of very deeply involved in privacy questions. We have Hester Peirce, the commissioner on the SEC, the one that is really the only crypto-friendly SEC commissioner by many stretches, and Summer Messenger, who has been a really creative figure as a commissioner on the CFTC. I'm also excited about the investor community. Kathy Wood is joining this, the inimitable Kathy Wood from ARK, a big long-term Bitcoin bull, of course. And on the more traditional side, Jenny Johnson is back. She is the CEO of Franklin Templeton, which has been doing a lot of, really innovative things around digital assets for an old traditional mutual fund company like hers. We're always going to bring on stage, and we are again this year, the sort of leaders of the developer community. We have Sergey Nazarov from Chainlink on main stage talking about some really innovative things that are happening at the international transfer level, working with Swift, in fact. Amin Gunsira is on stage. He's from Avalanche. Brendan Ike from Brave. These are the guys that are the headliners, but there's a deeper story, to go on Protocol Village, where, there we'll have these opportunities for people to experience sort of the much more deeper dives from developers about all of the sort of scaling solutions and new innovations that are happening in the various protocols. And on the culture side, we've got a creator and branding summit. We have this AI summit, and we're featuring yet again Neil Stephenson coming back, the tremendously influential science fiction novelist who has thrown his sort of money where his mouth is, if you like, and is now developing a metaverse project known as Lamina One. He, of course, is known as the godfather of the metaverse because he sort of coined the term in his very influential book, Snow Crash. So, that's sort of like some of the personal names. Foster, I mean, I know you take interest in who the companies and brands and the others that are represented on stage. Who are you interested to hear from?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. We've got some amazing brands and companies that are going to be represented this year. You mentioned a few from the TradFi world: BlackRock, the New York Stock Exchange, Wisdom Tree, Franklin Templeton. And from the brand and creator side, we also have BMW, Adidas, Mattel, Fox Corporation, and Time Magazine. Some super interesting participation from the Museum of Modern Art, Walmart, and Roblox. So, yeah, there's a lot that's happening, a lot of building that's still going on. So those are some of the highlights.
And actually, let's not forget, Jen, that CoinDesk TV itself will again have a presence and has all sorts of things planned. It was a highlight for me last year having you guys do those sort of live, surrounded by the audience, putting on your shows. What are the plans for this year?
Well, it's going to be even crazier this year. Last year, we definitely had our regular programming live from Consensus. This year, you have to think of it like an Olympics live broadcast. We're going to be live all day. We're going to be peeking in to the different stages, taking a look at what's going on in those stages, and we're also going to have guests on our programming like we normally do. A lot of them, Foster, Michael, you've mentioned already. But as everyone knows who watches the show, I am just a big fan of metaverse and world building and gaming. And Michael, when you were talking about metaverse, it reminded me that we have another kind of metaverse big thinker that's going to be at Consensus. Ernie Klein, the creator of Ready
Of
Player One, is
course.
going to be
Yes.
on CoinDesk TV, also speaking on the gaming stage, I believe. And so very exciting. We're going to be live all day. People who are not able to be at Consensus will be able to watch us. But the you should get your ticket to go, I think is what we're trying to say. You got to
That's the
be there to
takeaway.
see it IRL. It's just not going to be the same
Yep.
if you're watching the snippets online. And Foster, for folks who are going down there, we have a special code for them. I know there's only a few days left, but how can people get there with a little discount?
Sure. If you haven't registered, we'd still love to have you join us. You can go to the Consensus website, find the registration area, and you can use the CoinDesk, all caps, discount code for 20% off your tickets. You can use that code for any type of ticket, Pro Pass, Piranha Pass, etc.
Michael, Foster, we'll see you in Austin.
Looking forward to it, Jen. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jen.